Well, and the funny thing on this boat, what Greg and I have been laughing about is like every step seems like it just goes on forever, no matter what it is.
Hey, welcome back. I'm Chris Chase with the Western Flyer Foundation. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the athwartship bulkheads on that interior space of the Western Flyer. There are 5 main structural bulkheads running athwartship in the boat. There's one about 5 feet back from the interface of the stem head, which creates a crash bulkhead in the bow. There's another one about 10 feet in from the stern of the boat, creating a lazarette dry space in the very back of the boat. And then there are 3 more interior bulkheads running athwartship that are structural to the boat, that are the crew quarter, the engine room, and the classroom bulkheads inside that boat. They're built out of yellow cedar and skinned on both sides with 2 layers of marine grade plywood glued together and then screwed to that framework. But in this episode, we're also going to be hearing from Tim Lee. Tim Lee is one of the owners, one of the members there at the Port Townsend Shipwrights, and he is the head shipwright on the restoration for the Port Townsend Shipwrights. We're going to hear in his words, where the project is today, what the next 3, 4, 6 months look like in the restoration. So anyway, let's dive in.
Right now we're doing the bulkheads. So we've spiled every bulkhead. There's 5 in the boat, and we're spiling for the framework, and then we're going to lay out and make the skins. This is yellow cedar. The cleats, we are using that same yellow cedar that the foundation sourced, that we used for the bulwarks. So those are getting all cut and shaped. And then there's a local company that sells a lot of cedar, and so we bought basically the studs, because that was pre-made. We didn't have to spend the time milling. So they came and we just used that for the studs. Yeah, and it's a good rot resistant wood, especially for the ones that are going to be enclosed. They would originally use tongue and groove fir, and they would do 1 or 2 layers diagonal, and then 1 layer vertical over it. So there would be probably 3 layers, at least on the fish hole bulkheads, which we're going to take a lot of weight. Because these are structural, they do add stiffness to the boat, and as the boat's going over waves, the athwartship bulkheads help stabilize the boat. Well, they're as watertight as you can make a wooden boat. We will go through and put stop waters on the ceiling and the bilge stringers, so that it's basically corked, so that if one area fills, that the water's not just going to run down that seam. There'll be stop waters there to keep it, just like we use in the backbone construction. We put blocking, or they set on frames underneath of them. So we kind of planned that out before we knew where those bulkheads were going to be. And so before we started planking, we put blocking if the bulwark wasn't falling on a frame. This is the forecastle to the engine room bulkhead. It'll be skinned on both sides. The engine room to the lab or classroom will be skinned on both sides and insulated for sound. And then the aft lab bulkhead will probably also be skinned on both sides and insulated for sound. And then the other ones will just get 1 layer. The plywood will just get screwed to it. We're using the loft floor where we built all of these, and so we're staggering all the butts. And so yeah, the first layer will go on, and then it will get the next layer, the seams won't line up, and then we will probably put it together with the same glue that we use to put the bulwarks together that has some flexibility and gap filling ability, and then that'll all get screwed to the boat on a pretty tight schedule. Probably every 10 or 11 inches there'll be a screw, so it's like a shear panel in a house. Could be a few months before everything's permanently installed, because we don't want to build ourselves into a corner where we can't get something in. So we're trying to identify and get those components here so that we can get them in place, even if they're not plumbed or totally cribbed in, but they're in that enclosure. And then as soon as we get those parts in, then we'll start to permanently install. It's a bit of a dance, because you got to get the parts in, but then the bulkheads need to be in because they help hold it, and that's where a lot of the stuff attaches to plumb it. So you're kind of doing this a lot of layering to try and make it go efficiently. Well, some of the hurdles that are going to be is getting the systems stuff worked out, the final propulsion decisions, and getting some of those things here so that we can close up. And it's really kind of, we're starting, the hull's basically done. It's that meshing with the systems right now, and not, I mean, we could build the boat and walk away from it and then come back and put the systems and stuff in, but that's just inefficient. So trying to make those mesh together seamlessly, that's kind of going to be the challenge, the next coming challenge. Schedule going forward is to get the bulkheads completed as kits. There's a lot of work that we can save ourselves by not having the bulkheads permanently installed and finished. There's systems work that's going to happen. There's tanks that are going to go in. So to put the gray water and black water tanks in, and fuel tanks, we would need to be able to take these out and move them. So as those tanks get made, then we'll start to permanently install those. The main bulkhead between the classroom and the engine compartment has a permanent soft patch built into it, so that'll always be able to be taken out as big equipment comes in and out of the boat. I came to Port Townsend in 1989 and went to the boat school as a 6-month program. Then I think I was probably like a full year behind when Chris came to the school, when you came. So I did that, then the plan was to be here in town for 6 months and go back to Alaska, and then that turned into 4 years. And then I went to Alaska, and just, one job led to another one. And then came back when my wife went to nursing school, and worked with you at Ernie Baird's, and then Ernie had a slow period and got hired at the school in 2000. So then that was the same thing. I was going to be at the school for a year, then come back out in the yard, and that turned into 13 years. So it's just kind of slips under your keel as you're, the highlights of the project, one, are just the immensity of it. I mean, it's certainly, I mean, you and I have both been doing this for a long time, and we've worked on some pretty amazing projects, and to be able to do this at this scale is certainly probably the only time I'm going to do this in my life. And it's, and I think also after having taught for 13 years and had the opportunity to build a lot of boats, to be able to put that knowledge to use on such a large scale with a professional crew, because at first I just wanted to build boats, right? And then so I went and I taught and I got to build boats. Then after doing that for 13 years, I wanted to build boats with a professional crew. And so being able to use those techniques of new construction, which is different than just repair, on a scale like this with such a talented crew it's been great. You know, having Pete as a partner to kind of think through the stuff, and it's been awesome. Yeah. So the next 3 months, again, it's kind of getting the bulkheads wrapped up, getting the sole timbers finished out, and the subfloor made, and which some of that's going to involve having the tankage in place and ready to start permanently installed. I hope to have 1 or 2 bulkheads installed permanently. Certainly the crash bulkhead and the lazarette bulkheads will be done. By the end of summer, I'd like to have the fly bridge done, maybe have the house on. Some of that's going to depend on when Pete comes back, because he's been heavily involved in that, and I don't want to have to rethink what he's already thought. Probably, if I can get a paint crew, summer kind of goes slow for us, and if the paint crew comes available, I might actually get some top coat on the hull. List of projects is always 1 page, because if it gets more than 1 page, you're going to lose the second page anyways. But first it's like plank the hull, you know, and then it's like bung, cork, pay the seams. So as those big items, you start just getting more detailed and break it down. But essentially it's always a page, but it's just the title blocks encompass more work than normal. I don't know. I'm hoping somebody is watching these videos wants a schooner or a 45-foot boat or something like that. I'd love to do it. I mean, I love the work. It's interesting. Every day is different. The crew's good. You know, the owners are usually stellar people and really excited to be able to have people take care of their boats. So the end's getting close. Hopefully this isn't the last one, but it kind of depends on how much crew I can put on the boat. If it's just me and Friedrichs, it might be the last one. Well, and the funny thing on this boat, what Greg and I have been laughing about, is like every step seems like it just goes on forever, no matter what it is. Because usually like we do 1 bulkhead, right? So now we're doing 5 bulkheads.
Hey, that's it, the end of another chapter in the rebuilding of the Western Flyer. Hope you enjoyed this one. It was fun to see some of those bulkheads going inside the boat. It was great to hear from Tim Lee and his words, kind of what the next 3 to 6 months look like in the project. Tim has put a lot of head scratching into this project. This is a big project with a lot of moving parts. Going forward in the video series, I've got 3 great videos I'm editing, doing a lot of filming for coming up in the near future. I think they're going to be awesome. I'm really excited about all 3 videos. But if you're looking for a fill in between each video, why don't you check out Chase Boat Builder on Instagram. I try to post almost every day, maybe a photo, maybe a little bit of a video, and I think it might fulfill that need between each video to keep track of what's going on with the project. But anyway, until the next video, the next chapter in the rebuild, thanks for watching.
There's still a lot of stuff to do. Yeah.